Dateline, Barents Sea, September 18, 2025. The world's attention is quietly fixed on a remote, frozen expanse at the very top of the globe, where the icy silence is about to be shattered by a confrontation that could shape the future of global power. Here, the Russian nuclear-powered icebreaker Arktika sits motionless, its massive hull encased in thick, unyielding ice. The ship, a symbol of Russian engineering and Arctic ambition, is more than just a vessel. It's a statement of intent, a floating fortress asserting Moscow's claim to these frigid waters. Just a few nautical miles away, the United States Coast Guard cutter Healy holds its position. Its white hull stands out against the endless gray of the Arctic Sea, a stark reminder that America too has vital interests here. The Healy's crew is on high alert, every eye trained on the horizon, every sensor tuned to the smallest movement. The air is thick with tension. This is not a rescue mission, nor a routine patrol. This is a standoff, a silent contest of wills between two superpowers, each determined not to blink first. Far from the public eye, beyond the reach of most satellites and news cameras, a new global power struggle is quietly unfolding. The world's most powerful nations are converging on the Arctic, drawn by the promise of untapped resources and new strategic frontiers. Official statements will speak of scientific research, environmental monitoring, or navigation rights, but beneath the diplomatic language lies a fierce rivalry, a battle for control of the Arctic's vast energy reserves, mineral wealth, and the newly opening shipping lanes that could reshape global trade. As the ice melts at an unprecedented rate, it reveals not just new routes for ships, but also old ambitions and simmering conflicts. The Arctic is transforming from a frozen wilderness into a stage for international competition, where the rules are still being written. What happens here in the coming days and months could redefine the balance of power for the next century. The stakes are enormous, and the world is watching, even if most people don't yet realize it. On board both ships, crews are tense and vigilant. Every movement is scrutinized, every radio transmission analyzed. The smallest misstep could escalate into an international incident or worse. The Arctic is no longer a distant, empty frontier. It has become a geopolitical hotspot, a prize eyed by the world's most powerful nations. Russia, the United States, and others, including China, are all maneuvering for advantage, each determined to secure their share of the Arctic's promise. This silent standoff marks the true beginning of the Arctic race, a contest that will play out not just in icy waters but in boardrooms, parliaments, and international summits around the globe. For Russia, the Arctic is more than a strategic asset. It's a matter of national identity, pride, and economic survival. The region holds the key to future prosperity, and Moscow is determined to defend its interests at any cost. For the United States, this is a test of global leadership and resolve. Washington cannot afford to be seen as weak or absent in a region that could soon dictate the flow of global commerce and energy. And for China, the Arctic represents a rare opportunity to project power far from home, to stake a claim in the world's last great frontier, and to secure resources for its growing population and economy. For centuries, the Arctic stood as a symbol of impenetrable nature, a remote and forbidding wilderness locked away by thick, unyielding ice. It was a place few dared to venture, a frozen frontier at the top of the world, shrouded in mystery and legend. Explorers risked their lives to cross its icy expanse, and for generations the Arctic remained largely untouched by human hands. But now, that ancient barrier is vanishing before our eyes. Climate change is warming the Arctic at more than twice the global average, causing temperatures to rise at an unprecedented rate. The once permanent ice is melting, and the permafrost that has held the land together for millennia is beginning to thaw, releasing greenhouse gases and accelerating the cycle of warming. The Great Melt is happening right now, transforming the region in ways that were unimaginable just a few decades ago. Satellite images reveal a stark contrast between the Arctic of the past and the rapidly changing landscape of today. Glaciers are retreating, and vast stretches of sea ice are disappearing each summer, exposing land and water that have been hidden for thousands of years. As the ice recedes, it's not just the landscape that's changing. Vast, previously inaccessible resources are being uncovered beneath the surface. Scientists estimate that up to 13% of the world's undiscovered oil lies beneath the Arctic, waiting to be tapped by those with the technology and ambition to reach it. Even more staggering, the region holds about 30% of the planet's untapped natural gas reserves, along with rare earth minerals that are essential for modern electronics, renewable energy, and advanced technologies. For resource-hungry nations and corporations, the Arctic has become a treasure chest, promising immense wealth and strategic advantage to those who can stake their claim. But the melting ice is also opening up something else. New sea routes that were once blocked by thick, impassable ice. These routes, like the Northern Sea Route along Russia's coast and the legendary Northwest Passage through Canada's Arctic archipelago, are now navigable for longer periods each year. These new shipping lanes can cut travel time between Asia and Europe by up to 40%, offering faster, more efficient trade routes and redrawing the global map of commerce and logistics. The Arctic is no longer a distant, peripheral region. It has become central to global interests, a focal point for economic opportunity and geopolitical competition. Untapped resources and newly accessible strategic waterways have captured the world's attention, drawing in governments, corporations, and scientists from every corner of the globe. Nations are scrambling to stake their claims, sending fleets of icebreakers and teams of diplomats to negotiate boundaries and write the rules for this new era of Arctic exploration and exploitation. The Arctic is now about more than just resources. It's about power, money, and security. Military bases and strategic installations are appearing along the coastline as countries seek to protect their interests and assert their influence. Climate change has transformed the Arctic into a global battleground where the future of the planet, its resources, and its people will be decided in the years to come. For Russia, the Arctic is its northern lifeline. With the longest Arctic shoreline, Russia sees the region as vital to its identity and security. As the ice melts, Moscow is moving aggressively to assert dominance, reviving Soviet-era ambitions with modern technology. Russia's strategy, energy, and military power, massive investments in Arctic energy projects and strict control over the Northern Sea Route give Moscow leverage. Russia has reopened and modernized military bases, equipped with advanced defenses. Its unmatched fleet of nuclear-powered icebreakers ensures year-round access and mobility. While others struggle to build icebreakers, Russia's next generation is already in the works. This icebreaker gap cements Russia's control over the Arctic. For decades, the United States viewed the Arctic primarily as a remote scientific outpost, a place for research and exploration, not a zone of military tension or strategic rivalry. American scientists braved the cold to study climate change and wildlife, while policymakers paid little attention to the region's broader significance. But now, as melting ice opens new sea routes and untapped resources, the U.S. is scrambling to catch up, suddenly recognizing the Arctic's growing importance on the world stage. The region is no longer just a frozen frontier, it's becoming a hotbed of geopolitical competition. The Pentagon increasingly sees the Arctic as a new front in great power competition, where military presence and technological advantage could shape the balance of power for decades to come. U.S. strategy now centers on containment and building strong alliances, especially with NATO partners, to counter rival ambitions and secure American interests. With only a small stretch of Arctic coastline in Alaska, America relies heavily on freedom of navigation operations and close cooperation with NATO allies to maintain its influence and ensure open access to these icy waters. The U.S. actively contests Russian and Canadian territorial claims, increasing both naval and Coast Guard patrols to assert its presence and protect its interests in the region. Joint military exercises with NATO allies are ramping up, sending a clear deterrent message to Moscow and demonstrating that the U.S. and its partners are committed to defending the Arctic. Yet despite these efforts, America's tiny and aging icebreaker fleet stands out as a glaring weakness, limiting its ability to operate year-round in the harshest conditions. New, modern icebreakers are in the works, but they are still years away from deployment, leaving the U.S. with limited capacity for a persistent Arctic presence. Without enough specialized equipment and infrastructure, the U.S. remains at a significant disadvantage in this unforgiving environment, where nature itself can be as formidable a rival as any nation. China has no Arctic territory, but it's declared itself a near-Arctic state and is rapidly expanding its influence. China's interests are economic, resources, and trade. The Polar Silk Road aims to integrate Arctic shipping lanes into China's Belt and Road Initiative. Under the guise of science, China has built research stations and sent icebreakers to gather critical data. Investment is China's main weapon. Billions poured into Russian energy projects and Greenlandic mining. Some bids are blocked, but China's determination is clear. While its military footprint is minimal, dual-use investments could pave the way for future naval presence. The concept of a near-Arctic state is strategic, justifying China's growing role. The dragon's reach northward is raising global concerns. Arctic competition is creating a volatile security environment. Analysts warn of a new Cold War on ice. Russian, American, and NATO forces operate in close proximity, raising the risk of miscalculation. The lack of communication channels makes incidents more likely. Military buildup threatens the fragile Arctic ecosystem. An oil spill here would be catastrophic. The Arctic Council, once a forum for cooperation, is paralyzed by rivalry. Russia's invasion of Ukraine shattered trust and exposed a dangerous governance gap. New shipping routes create strategic vulnerabilities and new areas of conflict. The Arctic is now fully integrated into global power struggles. The Arctic race isn't just about Russia, the US, and China. Other Arctic nations are active players. Canada, Norway, Denmark, Finland, Sweden, and Iceland must balance sovereignty, environment, and great power pressure. Smaller NATO members face new risks and opportunities. Norway has ramped up defense. Greenland is a focal point for US-China competition. Indigenous peoples face existential threats as climate change and development disrupt traditional life. Their voices are often overshadowed by national interests. The changing Arctic is also drawing in countries like Japan and South Korea, eager to invest and secure new trade routes. The region's transformation is redrawing global maps and alliances. The Arctic's fate is now a global issue. Several trends will shape the Arctic's future. Watch Russia's ability to sustain its military and economic push, especially under sanctions. Any move to demand military escorts through the Northern Sea route would escalate tensions. China's next steps. Will its Polar Silk Road remain economic or turn military? US and NATO responses are critical. Can America close the icebreaker gap and maintain alliance unity? The frequency of joint exercises and diplomatic moves will set the tone. The wildcard climate. Rapid or unpredictable ice melt could accelerate competition or frustrate plans. The environment is an active player in this high-stakes game. The Arctic's fate is now a mirror of our world's biggest challenges. It's where climate change collides with national ambition. The region's transformation is about more than oil or shipping. It's about the world we'll inhabit. If unchecked, the Arctic could become a militarized arena with global consequences. The melting ice affects sea levels, weather, and climate everywhere. The Arctic stewardship is a shared global responsibility. Its future is inextricably linked to